Chapter 3. The chapter opens in a dream that Winston has about his mother and baby sister. In the dream, they are all on a sinking ship. Winston is on the deck, and his mother and sister are trapped in a room below him. He stands there watching as they sink underwater. He wakes up from the dream and begins contemplating its meaning, and he fades in and out of sleep. He feels as though the dream signified the sacrifice his mother made to ensure Winston's survival. His parents and sister had disappeared during a purge of the 1950s, when there was a nuclear war. His parents had protected him by taking him to an underground tunnel while London was being bombed. In his dream state, Winston thinks about the fact that things like sacrifice, love, and loyalty are not valued by the party. He falls back into a new dream, in which he is with the dark-haired girl in a beautiful, sunny field. She takes off her clothes and begins prancing around in the grass, and Winston feels a great sense of freedom. He then wakes up completely, saying the word Shakespeare, as an alarm blasts loudly from the telescreen. It is time for the physical jerks, a mandatory exercise routine led by a woman on the telescreen. Winston rolls himself out of bed and starts to follow along with the exercises. He drifts off into a kind of daydream state, and he starts thinking about the past. For as long as he can remember, Oceania has always been at war. However, the enemies and allies involved with the war have never been distinct. Winston knows that 4 years ago, Oceania had an alliance with Eurasia, and both nations were fighting East Asia. Now, apparently, Oceania and East Asia had formed an alliance against Eurasia. Winston's job at the Ministry of Truth has required him to change the historical records to show that Oceania has always been allied with East Asia and has always been fighting Eurasia. Winston thinks about the party and its slogan that states, "Who controls the past, controls the future. Who controls the present, controls the past." Winston, still following along with the commands of the fitness trainer, dives deeper into his inner meditation. He starts to consider the idea of rewriting history and what it means for him to be mentally fighting back against all this propaganda. In Newspeak, this revision of history is called doublethink, or the act of consciously becoming unconscious. Winston continues to daydream and remembers living in the democratic times of the 1940s. The instructor suddenly calls out Winston's number, 6079 Smith W., and tells him to work out harder. She begins praising the soldiers on the front lines for their bravery and physical superiority. The chapter ends with Winston putting more and more effort into the exercise, which requires him to reach up and bend over, and he eventually reaches down to touch his toes, something he hasn't been able to do for years.